In 2025, something is happening that many American travelers never expected. The era of easy, visa-free access to much of the world is starting to come to an end. Yes, the United States passport, once considered one of the most powerful in the world, is now facing more restrictions than ever. Under the second term of President Donald Trump, global travel dynamics are shifting fast. And many countries that once welcomed Americans with open arms are now demanding more paperwork, more security screening, and, in some cases, flat-out visas. This is not just a political story. It's a travel reality that affects millions of Americans planning to visit friends, take vacations, attend business meetings, or study abroad. Let's begin with one of the biggest shifts of all: the United Kingdom. If you're used to hopping on a flight to London with just your passport, think again. As of April 2nd, 2025, the UK has officially launched its Electronic Travel Authorization System, also known as the ETA. And yes, US citizens must now comply. Even if you're only staying for a weekend getaway or a short business trip, you are required to fill out an application online, submit your personal details, and pay a small fee of around £16 before you can board a plane. This move mirrors the US ESTA system that British citizens have been subject to for years. It's all about reciprocity now, and the UK is making it clear: if you ask our people to do it, we'll ask yours to do the same. Next, let's look at Brazil. For years, Brazil had a visa waiver program for Americans. Travelers could explore Rio de Janeiro, São Paulo, the Amazon rainforest, or the beaches of Bahia without needing anything beyond a passport. But starting April 10, 2025, that privilege is over. Brazil has reintroduced its electronic visa system for Americans, Canadians, and Australians. This means U.S. travelers must now apply online and pay approximately $80.90 to receive a 10-year multiple-entry visa. While the process is fairly simple, the return of this requirement reflects Brazil's response to what it sees as unfair treatment of its own citizens by U.S. immigration authorities. In short, you tightened your border. Now, we're tightening ours. Moving over to the Middle East, Israel, long considered one of America's closest allies, has also rolled out a major change. As of January 1, 2025, Israel launched its own version of a travel authorization system called ETA-EL. While it's still possible to travel to Israel as a U.S. citizen without a traditional visa, you now must apply for the ETA-EL before your trip. It's fast and affordable, but it's another step, another form, another process. Israel says the program improves security and streamlines border control. But for American tourists and business visitors, it adds another administrative hoop to jump through. One African country making big moves is Kenya. As of early 2025, Kenya has introduced a universal ETA system. That means no matter where you're coming from, including the United States, you must apply for an electronic travel authorization before setting foot in the country. Kenya's government says the move helps them better track arrivals, screen potential security risks, and modernize their tourism infrastructure. But for travelers, it's another reminder that the world is closing its doors just a little bit more. Not because it dislikes Americans, but because global policy is changing. And then there's Europe. Ah, yes, the European Union's long-anticipated ETIAS system, the European Travel Information and Authorization System. Many people thought ETIAS would be implemented in 2025. Headlines screamed, "Americans need a visa for Europe." But here's the truth. As of now, ETIAS has been delayed until 2026. So yes, in 2025, U.S. travelers can still visit the Schengen area, which includes France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and 23 other countries for up to 90 days without a visa. But that window is closing. Once ETIAS goes live in 2026, Americans will need to register online, pay a fee, and receive electronic approval before entering Europe, even for a short holiday. Consider this year your last chance for spontaneous European adventures without paperwork. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room: the Trump administration. President Trump returned to office in January 2025, and by June he had already signed a sweeping executive order reinstating travel restrictions on multiple countries. The executive order cited national security concerns and led to increased vetting for visa applicants, tighter controls at borders, and renewed travel bans on nations such as Iran, Syria, and North Korea. While these bans don't directly affect where Americans can go, they've created significant diplomatic ripples. And in the world of diplomacy, for every action there is a reaction. Several countries have responded by imposing their own restrictions on American citizens. Some have delayed issuing visas. Others have increased interview requirements, background checks, or biometric data collection. A few, like Nigeria, have made it mandatory for U.S. travelers to submit fingerprints and facial scans just to get a tourist visa. It's a game of policy tit for tat, and the loser, in many cases, is the everyday traveler who just wants to go abroad without being buried in red tape. Even for countries that haven't officially changed their visa rules yet, many embassies are reporting processing delays, longer wait times, and an increase in document requests. You may now be asked for hotel reservations, return flight tickets, bank statements, or even a letter from your employer just to visit a country that was once visa-free. It's not always a formal policy shift. Sometimes it's just more scrutiny, more suspicion, and less hospitality. So, what does all this mean for you? The American traveler, student, entrepreneur, or digital nomad? It means that you need to be more prepared than ever. You can no longer assume your passport alone will open doors. Before you book a flight, you must check the official government website of your destination. Look for updates on e-visas, ETAs, entry bans, and health requirements. Apply early, because many of these online authorizations can take days or even weeks to process, especially during peak travel seasons. And don't rely on third-party blogs or influencers. Go straight to the embassy or immigration website for the most accurate, up-to-date information. In short, visa-free travel is not entirely over for Americans in 2025, but it is fading. So where can you go without a visa in 2025? Plenty of places. Most of Latin America still welcomes Americans with minimal restrictions. Southeast Asia, especially Thailand, Vietnam, and the Philippines, continues to be relatively open. And some countries, like Japan and South Korea, remain visa-free for short stays. But the list is shrinking, and more countries are joining the Digital Visa Club every quarter. To travel smart in 2025, you need to stay ahead of the curve. Monitor the news, follow travel advisories, and most importantly, never assume yesterday's rules still apply today.